Hello, welcome back to your mat. Today we're going to actually welcome you back to the mat. So this is a great class for those of you that have had some time away from your mat. You've been away from your yoga practice or doing any type of yoga, or maybe either because you've been recovering from an illness, you've had an injury, or this also is just great if you're kind of feeling stiff and maybe you've not been away from your mat, but you're just feeling a little bit more stiff than usual. You want to kind of loosen things up. So we're going to work through the whole body in a short amount of time. So for today's class, I would recommend having a couple blocks on standby or nearby, at least one. If you don't have those, it's okay. You don't necessarily need them, and I can give you modifications for them without blocks, I should say. So we'll get started with a quote by Barry Long. Love is all around you like the air and is the very breath of your being. So be kind to yourself today, especially if you've been away from the mat for a while, whether you've been sick, injury, doesn't matter. You're just feeling stiff. Be kind throughout all these poses. So we're going to start out in child's pose just to arrive on our mat, kind of getting back into the groove of doing this and loosening some things up. So I have my knees wide. You can have yours together. You decide what's best for you. And I'm sitting back on my heels. Now, when you stretch forward, you may find that your seat comes up, and that's okay. You could actually use a block under your seat to kind of help prop you up if you like, or a pillow, or whatever. So go ahead and stretch out long on the mat for child's pose. And bring your forehead to the mat, or if it doesn't quite come all the way down, you can stay up on your forearms. I'm going to stay up on my forearms today because I have a mic and it's easier for you to hear me. But definitely get into this pose what feels best for you. And again, if your seat is further up, that's fine, especially if you're feeling stiff. You may find it coming all the way down, it's just not going to happen. So settle into this pose. Don't worry about exactly what it looks like. How does it feel? Where are the tight spots? Notice those. Don't judge them. Don't wish them away. Just notice them. And we're going to work to kind of open up the body a little bit throughout today's class. So take a couple breaths there, in and out through your nose, breathing deeply all the way into your belly and all the way back out. Another round there. And then go ahead and come on up into all fours here. So you're going to come into, we're going to do some cat and cow. So if you know cat and cow, go ahead and get started. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, go ahead and come into a tabletop position. So you're right now, your back is neutral, your knees are underneath of your hips, and your wrists are underneath of your shoulders. And on the inhale, we're going to arch that lower back, and we're going to look up. And then you're going to exhale and round in and look inside, much like a cat when they stretch. Inhale, we'll come into the cow pose. Go ahead and arch that lower back. You'll have kind of a dip here in your lower back. Whatever amount works for you, looking up. And exhale, round and look inside. Two more. Inhale, look up. Exhale, round in. Inhale, look up. And exhale, round in. Return to a nice neutral spine here. And then from here, we're going to open up our shoulders a little bit. So we're going to take this right arm, stretch it up toward the sky as much as you can. You may be really stiff here, so you may not be able to come up too far. And then thread that right arm behind your left arm. So you're going to bring that right shoulder down to the mat, and you're also going to bring your head down to the mat. And breathe here for a moment. You can go ahead and leave this left hand out as a kickstand on this side here. Breathing here. Open it. You got a little bit of a twist here. You're on your shoulder. You're on your right side of your face. Really just giving that shoulder a little opening there. And inhale and come all the way back up. Stretch that arm up a little bit overhead if you can. And exhale, bring it back down. And now we'll come into the left side. So go ahead and stretch that left arm up overhead as much as you're able to, whatever your mobility is here. And exhale and thread that arm behind your right arm. So your left shoulder is coming down, the left side of your face is coming down, and your right arm is here on the right just as a kickstand. Go ahead and twist your body a bit to the right. Breathe here. And inhale and sweep that left arm back up toward the sky a little bit. And exhale, bring it back down. Now, go ahead and stay where you are. I'm actually going to move back a little bit because I kind of set myself up on my mat a little bit wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and move my knees back a little bit. But go ahead and come into your tabletop again. And then from here, go ahead and stretch those arms out in front of you as far as you can on your mat. So a big step without moving your knees. We're going to come into puppy pose. So you're just going to mount your heart and your chest your head down toward the ground. Your forehead may come down. If you have a block nearby, you could use that. Should really feel an opening here in your arms, your shoulders, your chest. So you're going to stay with your back legs are going to be like they're in tabletop, but you're going to bow forward as if your front part of you, your arms, is in down dog. Take a couple breaths here. And inhale and rise back up to all fours. Very nice. From here, we're going to come into we're going to come standing. We're going to do some half sun salutations. Just a few of those just to help open up. This is just great to do anytime you're feeling stiff. It's a great way to open up the hamstrings. So if you know that you're really tight, this is where your blocks can come in really handy, or even just one. So I'm going to show with two, and I'm just going to show, actually, if you probably, most of you may only have one available, or even if you have two, whatever you need to do. I'm going to use one just to show you. So we're going to come at the top of our mat. Go ahead and set your mat up top of your mat. If you don't have blocks, there's a modification. You don't have to have blocks. So we're going to go ahead and stand in mountain pose. So my feet are about hip distance apart. And your arms down to your side here. And just breathe here for just a moment. Notice where you are, how you're feeling. How's it feel to be back on your mat again and moving around? And are you starting to feel a little bit of energy flowing? Let's get that energy going some more. So inhale, bring your arms, rise them up overhead. And a nice slow exhale and fold forward, hinging at the hips, and come forward here. You can touch the ground or your blocks, and we're going to fold in. Inhale, and we're going to halfway lift. So this is where a block or blocks could come in handy, or if you don't have blocks, just use your shins. That way you can have as flat a back as possible and not be straining yourself here. So inhale and look forward, look out in front of you. And then exhale and fold in. And you can have a deep bend in your knees if you like. For most people, when you're really tight, the deeper that bend, the more you can fold in. So find what works for you. We're going to inhale and flat back it. Come back up again and look out in front of you. And exhale, fold in. Then you're going to inhale and rise all the way up, bringing your arms up overhead, reaching up toward the sky, giving a nice tall reach there as if you're trying to reach something on that top shelf you can't quite get. And exhale and bring your arms back down in front of your chest. We'll do 2 more rounds of that. So inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, hinging at your hips, fold forward, look inside. Inhale, halfway lift, look out in front of you using a block, your shins, or the floor. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, flat back, look out. Exhale, fold in. Inhale and rise all the way back up, bringing your arms up overhead, reaching. And exhale, bring your arms back down to heart center. Once more. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. Exhale, forward fold there, hinging at your hips. You can always have a bend in your knee, whatever you need. Inhale, flat back, look out. And again, your legs, you have a slight bend here, or you can go straight legs. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, bring your arms up overhead, reach. And exhale, bring it back down to heart center. All right, so hopefully you're feeling a little bit of energy starting to build and move in your body, and maybe a little less stiff, but we'll keep going. So now we're going to step back with our right, and again, this is where you might need to have your blocks if you find that you're really especially tight. So I'll have these at the top of the mat and show that modification. So we're going to step back into a high lunge with our right leg going back first. So our left leg is going to be forward. So go ahead and step that right foot back. If you find that your balance is off here a bit, just widen out your stance. So bring your feet further across on your mat instead of having them closer together like a tightrope. A tightrope is going to make this much more challenging. So give yourself a nice stable stance here, stable base. Think of the word. And inhale, and actually we're going to bring our arms behind our backs and give ourselves a nice stretch here. Pulling the arms behind you, open up your chest, stretching your shoulders, but especially stretching across your chest here. And then go ahead and lower that back knee down. We're going to come into that low lunge. So go ahead and release your arms here for a moment. Untuck those back toes. If you'd like, if you really find you're tight, you can always use the blocks to kind of help you stay more upright here. Breathing there for just a moment. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and do a twist to our left. So go ahead and bring your elbow, and in this case, you might find you're really tight. So bringing the elbow down might be too far. So just go ahead and just bring your forearm here to your left knee, your right forearm, and then twist open this. This is a great modification. You can either bring your left arm behind you, or if you do feel like you have that motion, that range of motion, you can go ahead and come into prayer. But this may be a little bit tougher, especially if you've been away for a while. You're feeling really, especially stiff. So this is just a great way to modify for that nice twist. Breathe here for just a moment. And then we're going to exhale and go ahead and step forward on the mat. And come on up, halfway lift here. And exhale, fold in. Again, you can use your blocks if you need to. Fold in. And inhale, rise all the way back up. And exhale, hands to center. All right, and now we're going to do the other side. So go ahead and get your stance ready. And we're going to step back with the left foot into a high lunge. So go ahead and step back into a high lunge. Find your steady base here. So definitely get steady and stable. And widen out your stance if you need to. That will help with your balance. Bring your arms behind your back. Interlace your hands. And stretch your arms back behind you. If you find the interlace doesn't work for you, you can always use a towel or a strap or a belt. Or just bring your arms behind you and have an imaginary strap there. Get the same idea. You're still getting that chest opening. And then on the exhale, go ahead and drop that back knee down. Untuck those back toes. And you're in this nice lunge here. Again, you could use the blocks if you'd like to be a little more upright, or you can even be more upright without using the blocks. And then go ahead and dip forward a little bit more here if you can. And now we're going to do that twist to the right. So bring your left forearm to your right knee, or if you really have it in you and you can do the elbow, whatever works for you. Today, I'm just going to go with the forearm. So I'm bringing my left forearm to my right knee, and then I'm just going to stretch that right arm behind me, back behind me on the mat, and look over to the right. So this is a great stretch and twist without having to get yourself into that prayer position. But if you've got that range, go for it. And then we're going to step forward on our mat. Exhale and fold in. Inhale and halfway lift. Exhale, let's fold in one more time just to really let everything go. Just dangle here for a moment. And then inhale and come all the way back up. Reach for the sky and bring your hands back down into a prayer position, down at the heart. And now from here, we're going to come down to the ground and do a couple more poses. Have a block handy if you have a block. If you do not, I will show you the modification. So I'm going to keep this out where I can get to it. So I'm going to put it out of the way so you can see. I'll be able to grab it here in a minute. Okay, so we're going to come into, I'm going to turn this way actually, I think. We're going to stretch the left leg out first. And you're going to bring your right, go ahead and actually stretch out both your legs out long in front of you for just a moment here. Shake them out a little minute for a moment, and then you're going to bring that right leg in. Like tree pose, so as if you were doing tree pose sitting down. So go ahead and get tall, sit up tall here, and then on the exhale, you're going to hinge forward any amount. You may find that you're, again, really stiff and tight, so stay up wherever that is going to be for you. Don't try to make yourself go down and then it's not worth that. Don't do all that. And if you need to stay more upright like this, that's fine. But keeping these left toes flexed, that's going to help stretch out that hamstring also. So come forward any amount that works for you. Breathe there and release into that. Inhale, come all the way back up, and now we'll switch the legs out. So go ahead and stretch out both legs in front of you again. Give them a little shake, and then same thing. Leave your right leg stretched out, and now bring that left leg in as if you're coming into a tree pose. So I've got the sole of my left foot is on my thigh here. Inhale, get tall, flex your right toes, and exhale, come forward any amount. Again, you're not trying to push yourself here. You're trying to be loving and kind to yourself. If you've not been feeling well for a while, if you've had an injury you're overcoming, there's no reason to just jump back in and go all crazy. You want to just ease yourself back in and do what works for you and what is going to help you. or if you're just feeling especially stiff, be kind to yourself. Inhale, come up. And then our last pose we're going to do is bridge with a block, if you have the block. If you don't, you could do bridge without the block. It'll just be a little bit more challenging. So come on and lay back on your back. Have your block nearby if you're going to use it. Go ahead and set the soles of your feet on the ground. And if you have a block, pick the height that you want. So this is the lowest level, this is the medium level, and this would be your highest level. I would suggest either the lowest or medium. And you're going to slide that underneath. Go ahead and rise your hips up and slide that underneath of your sacrum. It's right at the base of your back there. If you don't have a block, you can just come up, rising your hips up. Again, it'll be a little bit more work and effort there. So depending on what you have. Breathe here for just a moment. Just giving ourselves a moment here to let everything kind of stretch out here in the front and just release into that block. Another inhale. Exhale, and all that go. And then go ahead and remove the block. And if you have the time, go ahead and stretch your legs out long on the mat. Maybe pull your neck up here and give it a nice long stretch. You lengthen out your neck and have your arms out stretched on the mat and come into a nice Shavasana. For those that don't have time, I'm going to go ahead and roll over and come on up. But those that you do, please stay there. If you have the time, enjoy it. Take a few minutes, relax into it. For the rest of you that need to get on with your day, I want to thank you so much for joining me, and I want to also thank you and congratulate you for getting back on your mat if you've been away, or just getting on your mat because you're feeling sick today. Thank yourself, be kind to yourself, and be kind to each other. Thanks again for joining me. I'll see you next time.